Rachel was an ordinary suburban housewife. She has been married for 10 years with 2 young children. At 38, she took great care of herself, regularly taking Pilates classes, as well as going out for a 5-mile run 3 times a week. She was a determined woman and a mother who prided herself on getting rid of excess weight after having a baby and staying on the level. She was by no means an athlete, but she was still in better shape than most younger women. 5 feet 7 inches tall, with shoulder-length blonde hair and blue eyes, weighing 128 pounds, a size 10 waist and a 34-inch bust, Rachel's husband was often the envy of many of his friends with such a wife. Their glances were always surreptitiously noticed by the blonde MILF. The same could be said about fathers on a school walk, strangers she passed in the local supermarket or on the street, and those she met and greeted them on runs. One particular runner who smiled at her the brightest every time they crossed paths was a man she found as attractive as her husband, perhaps even a little more attractive if she was completely honest with herself. Never stopping to talk to him, she didn't know his name. But it didn't matter. She was instinctively attracted to his tall stature, athletic build, beautiful smile, and well-groomed beard. She estimated his age to be about 40 to 45. She noticed that the man was becoming constant both on her runs and in her thoughts. She didn't understand her feelings or curiosity. She was happily married and led a satisfying life. She and her husband had never cheated on each other, and she had never put herself in a vulnerable position with men who she knew wanted her. Convincing herself that it was just that, she began to look forward to her runs. One particularly warm Friday morning in September, after taking the children to school, she drove to a small parking lot on the outskirts of the city to start her usual run. When she pulled up, she noticed that his car was already parked there. She felt her heart flutter slightly as she turned off the engine and looked at her face in the mirror, which she hadn't done before. Then she pulled her hair back into a ponytail. Apart from an elderly couple taking a morning walk along a rural path, she didn't notice anyone else when she got out of the car in a tracksuit to start a light workout. Rachel always looked and felt like she was in her role, and today was no exception when she warmed up in her light gray leggings and vest. 10 minutes later, warming up her buttocks, hamstrings, quadriceps, and calves, she walked through the gates separating the city and the countryside and started with a light jog. She never ran while listening to music, preferring to listen to the sounds of nature while exercising. After walking a couple hundred meters along a flat country road, she quickened her pace and turned left along a more difficult route that led up a steep slope into the forest. With nothing but fresh air and the countryside around, Rachel filled her lungs with oxygen and accelerated her pace even more. She didn't know that her mysterious handsome man was running in the opposite direction. Music was playing in his ears, and he didn't think about slowing down as he approached the narrow, blind turn of the path. For him, it was the beginning of the way down from the forest, but for Rachel, it was the end of her uphill climb, where she liked to take a break after turning into the forest. It would seem that fate decreed that the couple turned the corner at the same time. "Arg!" Rachel screamed, scared half to death when the man ran into her with all his might and knocked her off the path. "Oh, damn it!" The man panicked, instinctively raising his hands. His strength and size, combined with the speed at which he ran, were nothing compared to Rachel. "I'm so sorry. Are you okay? I didn't hear you or see you." The man rushed to her aid, sincerely apologizing and hoping that she was all right. "I'm fine," she lied, putting on a brave face before the shock wore off. "Damn it, my hands. My knee." She grimaced and moaned, almost crying. "I'm so sorry. Let me take a look," he said, bending down to help. "I'm fine, to be honest. I don't need any help. I'll be fine." Her pride was hurt. She rubbed her hands on her hips in an attempt to stop the burning. But Rachel knew she wasn't okay at all. The impact threw her off the path, where she landed on all fours, with her left knee taking the brunt of the fall. Suddenly, looking into each other's eyes, they recognized each other. He smiled, forgetting for a moment about their hard encounter, while Rachel blushed and giggled like a schoolgirl. "I'm really sorry. Please let me help you. That hole in your pants looks pretty bad," he said, glancing at her left knee. The cloth was torn, revealing a swollen, bloody kneecap. He put his arm around her shoulders. It happened so quickly and naturally that she did not resist him when he slipped his other hand under her sore knee and helped her to her feet. Honestly, you don't need to bother me. She felt embarrassed and shy. Despite the sweat, she could smell his fruity aftershave, and it stirred her senses. Don't be silly, he told her with another smile. The least I can do after hurting you is help you. I have a small first aid kit in my backpack. I'll try to help you. Arg! Rachel screamed again through clenched teeth as she tried to get to her feet. Sit on these logs. You can relax while I make you a bandage. Rachel allowed the man to help her hobble a few meters from the path to the logs, where she managed to sit down and wipe her palms a little. By the way, my name is Luke. What's your name? What is it? He asked, quickly unbuttoning his backpack. Rachel. Okay, Rachel, just try to relax and we'll get you back on your feet quickly. He tried to reassure her with another smile. Rachel watched handsome Luke as he took out some pads, a bandage and scissors. His arms looked strong and thin. Of all the ways she could imagine dating, this had never occurred to her. She smiled at his hands and her thoughts, cursing her bad luck. Just cut them off, they're ruined anyway, she told him as he looked at the pants and wondered what was the best thing to do. Okay, he nodded before kneeling down and lifting her leg. Luke felt his own tingling sensation as he heard a soft sigh. Until that moment, he hadn't thought of anything but helping her. Women in running and yoga sportswear had always driven him crazy, and Rachel was one of those women. He had only glimpsed her when they met on a jog or in the parking lot, but it was enough to trigger his hormones. Then he noticed her wedding ring. Are you okay? What is it? She asked. Now he looked deeply thoughtful. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, he stammered, shaking his head. Rachel blushed. She knew where his thoughts were going by the look in his eyes. Is that a tattoo on your right arm? What is it? She asked, feeling that she needed to relieve the tension. Yes, it's a mandala. Very cute, it suits you. She closed her eyes in embarrassment. As soon as the words left her lips, she realized that she was flirting. Thank you. He smiled at her sudden embarrassment. Then Luke focused again and began to carefully cut off a large piece of material from her knee. With only basic knowledge of first aid, he didn't want to take any chances. I'm sorry, Luke grimaced. It's not your fault, Rachel blushed again. Luke chuckled. Don't make me feel even more guilty than I already do. Rachel giggled and then looked around. As far as she could see, it was just her and Luke before she watched him gently pat her knee with a napkin. The next few minutes passed in silence. Luke felt that she was waiting for something, but he respected her marriage, although it only increased his desire. It's done, he beamed proudly, looking into her eyes and holding her leg. Thank you, she smiled, meeting his gaze and not trying to move her leg. They remained in that position, staring at each other like two strangely shy teenagers, waiting for the other to say what was really on their minds. Then Luke brought them out of their trance. Still looking into her eyes, he gently moved her leg, bending it at the knee before gently placing it on the ground. Rachel stopped smiling and swallowed. She found him attractive, indecisive, that she was shy and looked down. Do you think you can walk? What is it? He asked, standing with his hand outstretched to help him up. Rachel saw the muscles in his legs tighten as he stood up before her gaze lingered on his groin and the bulge in his shorts. I think I'll be fine, she muttered awkwardly, carefully climbing off the log. Luke grinned and came over to support her. He released her and let her stand up without any help. The bandage was a little tight on her knee, but she could walk without assistance, much to their disappointment. Thank you, Luke, she smiled warmly, feeling dizzy from saying his name for the first time. It's the least I could do, he smiled back. Can I walk you to your car? I'm guessing you're not going to continue your run. They both laughed before Rachel nodded. She didn't want to break up, but she knew the tension was getting dangerous. Sensing her reluctance to leave, Luke found that he could no longer contain his feelings. Returning to the ground and feeling reality, Rachel quickly got to her feet, pulled up her trousers, and lowered her top. The pain in her knee returned, although in fact, the pain did not leave her at all. Luke quickly followed her and brushed the dirt off her back. Are you okay? Yes, she began to panic. But you don't mind if we don't go to the cars together. UTM, Luke's ego was hurt. Yes, but I'm sorry, but I have no idea what the hell just happened to me. We just made love. He chuckled. You know what I mean. You are welcome. You need to leave before someone sees us. It's a little late for that, don't you think? I just want to make sure you get there safely with that knee. I'll be fine, honestly. Please just leave and I'll handle it. Sensing the married blonde's distress, Luke reluctantly accepted her decision, picked up his backpack, and continued running. Rachel sat down on the log again to collect her thoughts and check the bandage on her knee before gathering her courage for the long, difficult walk to the car. She knew it would be the longest and most nerve-wracking walk of her life. And a sore knee is not the main reason.